Now, we've come to the time of the year that we're actually on time. It is November, and this is November's prediction video. So, obviously, you know me. I'm Sir Owen Disney. This is AJ, and we're going to discuss our predictions for the top 8 categories at the Academy Awards this year. And next month, that comes the hard part. We're going to try to successfully predict every single Academy Awards category. I believe there's, 26 of them?
No, like 24.
Oh, I was close.
Which we did last year, but you don't seem to remember.
I don't know.
I promise you we did do that
I'm sure the video exists here on this channel, so I mean, I'll probably on this very playlist you're watching, unless you're just watching this video at the bottom of the main page, and then there's no playlist. But I assure you, there's a playlist for award shows, and it's probably there. But what we're going to do is, just like we've done since August, we're going to predict the big 8 categories for the Academy Awards. And we're actually going to start with, before we get anything into that, do we have a state of the race right now? Anything new to report? I know there's one big major thing for my predictions, but...
just stuff we can probably touch on as we go.
All right. Okay, that's pretty unceremonious. Okay, we'll do that then. Just not want to cooperate at all today, are you?
Well, generally, that's when we talk about stuff that I don't think will be in either one of ours, but I think when we go through ours, we'll touch on pretty much everything that's going on.
Right. So we're going to start out with Best Adapted Screenplay. So AJ's going to go first here. So AJ, what is your lineup currently?
The Big Short, Brooklyn, Carol, The Revenant, and Steve Jobs. I didn't change from last time. I'm still, every time. I think I've stuck with it since the beginning. I'm just going to throw in The Big Short as the one that just kind of... This will pretty much be the only thing that it gets, despite a really heavy campaign.
It is something I've actually seen a trailer for now.
And did you see the full-page FYC poster for Bale?
No.
That they put out?
I've heard that he's now, like, he wants to be in contention now.
It's like the picture of him from the poster on the phone when he looks like he's 12. And it's just like, he's surrounded by critic comments that say spectacular, and he pulls you right into the role, and it's kind of hilarious looking. And then on the bottom, it's like the pictures of everybody, and it says also ensemble cast. And it's
that's funny.
So yeah, they really want to put Bale in there, but I'm thinking this is all The Big Short's going to do, if that. But I'm just going to stick with this.
The thing that jumps out about me is the fact that you're still with Carol. Carol seems to have fallen off a little bit.
I don't think that at all.
The more things I've been reading, like throughout, like
they've got the
people are not really talking it up as much as they used to.
The fucking expert people with their websites and shit.
I'm staying away from Gold Derby. Don't worry.
Most of them have not been going for Carol since the beginning, which I just don't think that's right. I don't know. We're all just guessing at this point, obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, the people who are get paid to do this have never been going for Carol for some reason. At least not that much, apart from the acting. But
right,
that's
pretty much the only place it lands in my predictions too. Obviously, my adapted screenplay lineup is Brooklyn, Room, The Revenant, Steve Jobs, and The Martian. I've been saying this for the last 2 videos, and I'm going to say it again. I think The Martian is going to be the crowd pleaser that does really well in the Academy Awards this year. I don't necessarily know how well it's going to win things. I think it's going to get a lot of nominations.
People are definitely building up The Martian lately to a huge degree.
Exactly.
But I'm still just kind of sticking with, it's the big crowd pleaser movie.
Right.
But there's still like a month and a half before we get to nominations.
We still have Star Wars.
And anything. There's a lot of stuff that can happen in that month and a half.
Oh, yeah, completely. Because
as long as The Martian has been out, it's pretty much the same time we have until nominations.
Right.
So that's a lot of space for another big thing to take over. But people are really all over The Martian right now. Like, it's going to be huge, but I'm not quite... I mean, that'd be great, because the movie's great.
Yeah, it is.
I'm not feeling it. So.
I'm also not, like, pushing back on my love of Steve Jobs and wanting it to do well, but it seems like it's falling off a little bit when it comes to most people's predictions.
I'm kind of feeling that too.
Which worries me, which makes me think that if anything's expendable in this lineup, that might be it. This is the only nomination I have for Brooklyn, which I think may be a huge mistake.
I would think if there's any category where Steve Jobs is safe, it's this one.
I would say so. But I mean, if any sort of love for Steve Jobs throughout the entire category list is going to go anywhere, that might be the one that I kind of get nervous about putting in there. Room, it could go either way. It really can. It could be really good, do a lot of nominations, or it could fall by the wayside. There's the third option that it gets in where everybody thinks it should be in, and that's it. Which is a possibility, too. I mean, again, we're all just guesstimating at this point. I think The Revenant's pretty much safe in anything at this point, because that's what they're talking up big time right now. The Revenant, Spotlight are basically like what everybody is saying is probably what it's going to come down to this year. Whether that's the case or not, that's what everybody's saying, the people that have already seen both films. So, we'll see what happens. Now we move on to Best Original Screenplay. AJ?
I have Bridge of Spies, The Hateful Eight, Inside Out, Spotlight, and Youth.
You're sticking with Youth?
I had Youth for a while. I took it out and replaced it with Joy, but I have since switched them back. Because, obviously, there's still no word on Joy because nobody's still seen it yet.
Right.
But it might have had a screen by now. I don't remember.
I think it could have had at least one screening.
It clearly was not a memorable screening. If I can't remember if it's had a screening.
Yeah, that's not a good sign.
But I think like a fake parody review of it came out.
Okay.
So that kind of threw people off and
Right.
wondering about whether or not it's been seen or not. This thing about Joy, people are so hooked on this idea, but because it's Russell and Lawrence and De Niro and all his other people,
Yeah, of course.
that it's going to be big because his others haven't been yet. Like, this is going to be like, well, it's finally time for Russell. I just have not been feeling it with Joy. Like, I don't
know what to do with it.
Because everything I see, like, when people are talking about what they think is going to win picture, which it's a really bad time to do that because we're in there's really nothing to base that on.
No.
But just people having fun, I guess. But
yeah, of course.
Every time it comes to discussion of what is going to win picture, people just throw it in, like they say it's either going to be Spotlight or Joy, or somebody else will say it's going to be The Revenant or Joy, and then it's always there as if it's like going to be...
It's the or.
If it doesn't win, it's going to be second. And I am not getting that from Joy at all, at least right now.
Right now, it seems like Joy is the end credit in the movie.
I know that probably has a lot to do with the fact that there's no word on it. Mm-hmm. That probably has something to do with it. But actually, I believe... Yeah, okay, yes. Joy has been seen because there's a whole lot of... I remember now, but it was a while back, it seems like.
There's a lot that's happened between now and then, though.
Because there was, like, Edgar Ramirez was in the conversation and everything, and then he was kind of taken out by, like, the early reviews, so I don't know. Of course, like, next video I'll be going off on some tangent about how reviews don't mean shit, so it's hard to tell.
It's nice when you put yourself under. It works well that way.
And as far as going with you, it took me forever to decide. Like, I knew I was going to take Joy out. It took me forever to decide what I was going to put in its place.
Right.
And the thing about Youth is, obviously for a while there, I thought it was going to be the big movie where, like Amour, where they were going to go out of their comfort zone and give a whole bunch of nominations to a movie like this. But then I was like, well, probably not. And but then... Kane is like really, really going on the campaign trail right now, and Youth is kind of starting to have a resurgence. So, while I'm not saying it's going to go as big as I was initially saying, I don't think this is out of the realm of possibility now, especially since it took... I only had to replace one movie, and it took me forever to come up with that shows you just how bare this category is. So something like this getting in here... seems possible to me, so I'm just going to go back to it.
Well, you dropped Joy for yours. I kept it on mine. My original screenplay lineup is exactly the same as yours was last month. It's Bridge of Spies, Joy, The Hateful Eight, Inside Out, and Spotlight.
I've heard a lot of people say they think that's pretty much the locked-in 5 of this.
I think 4 are locked in for sure. Joy's the only thing that I'm questioning right now.
Every time we say there's a locked-in 5, just like I think it was the last video when I said when I did a certain other category.
Right.
that I wasn't going to change that category for the rest of the year, and I've already changed it. So it's hard to say.
I would state that if I had to go out on a limb right now, if I was I was told to walk the plank and tell what I think is actually a lock for original screenplay, I think Inside Out and Spotlight, and probably Bridge of Spies.
Yeah, I'm feeling Bridge of Spies here.
I'm pretty sure Bridge of Spies is a lock now, and it makes me nervous about something I did later on in predictions, but we'll see what happens with that.
Congratulations on your 1 millionth Oscar nomination, the Coen Brothers. And that's not like bitter or anything.
No.
Awesome.
Straight up. A+. Here comes your favorite category, Best Supporting Actress. Extreme sarcasm.
Okay. I'll just go through this and I'll talk about it. Joan Allen for Room, Jennifer Jason Leigh for The Hateful Eight, Rooney Mara for Carol. I almost said Room for some reason. Alicia Vikander for The Danish Girl, and Kate Winslet for Steve Jobs. Okay. I've been waiting to figure out what Vikander's category placement is officially. Mm-hmm. And they have finally released FYC posters.
Yes.
And the FYC posters have her supporting.
Do they go against FYC posters sometimes?
Let me say that.
Okay.
I said, I think last time, I was so, I guess, bullheaded about it, that even if Vikander was for sure supporting, according to the studio,
I'm going to run her leading.
I would put her in leading anyway. And the thing about it was, the last person I used as an example was Winslet in 2008.
Right.
Where what I thought Vikander was going to do was run supporting everywhere and then ultimately run in leading in the Oscar race.
Yeah.
Which is what Winslet did for The Reader in 2008. Well, the difference is, obviously, that Winslet had 2 movies where she was the lead character. And while Vikander has 7 movies this year, this is the only one she's leading in.
Right.
Supposedly.
Well,
yeah. Given who you are and how you see that. So what I did was I Googled all of the Reader's FYC posters I could find. And all the Reader's FYC posters had Winslet going support.
Interesting.
But then again, you could always just see it as she also had Revolutionary Road, and Vikander does not have a Revolutionary Road to go along with The Danish Girl.
No.
So, I don't know. I put her here very reluctantly. And I'm going to be so pissed if she gets in leading. Despite the fact that that's apparently where she belongs, according to the people that have seen it. So, same thing with Mara, really. So, people are going to be ultra pissed if they both get in, and that's this category. So, yeah, there's a lot of talk about maybe Mara will move by the time the Oscar nominations come around.
Could happen.
So those two are just causing a whole other clusterfuck here. And obviously to put her in, I had to take Julie Walters out, which is something I didn't want to do, because Brooklyn's doing really well right now. Yeah. And so what I was going to do, actually, was going back to when I said I was here, I'm feeling the same thing about, I don't know if Steve Jobs is as strong as it used to be. Mm-hmm. The first thing I was going to do was take Winslet out. Because even if you go back to the first time we did this, I've said that I had Winslet in as filler. Mm-hmm. And then suddenly she became, Steve Jobs was big, and then she was obviously a certainty. And then when it came back around, I had to debate a long time about whether to take her or Julie Walters out. And I'm not even really hearing shit about Julie Walters, I just have, a feeling about it.
Yeah, I gotcha. I got that later on in this prediction.
So, I almost... I was really close to taking Winslet out. But then I don't know, Steve Jobs can always have a resurgence, or it may not even be as dead as people think it is. It might just be doing just fine, just under the radar. I don't know, but...
It still works.
This was a tough call, though. Because I didn't want to take Julie Walters out, but fucking those FYC posters with the Danish Girl made me reconsider about Vikander, so I just don't know. I don't even know. I'm not even really hearing that much about Joan Allen, but I just feel like she's totally in there for some reason. So, yeah. Because they used to nominate her all the time, and she hasn't been for a while, right. So why not? Okay. Yeah.
Well, my best supporting actress lineup has not changed either. It's still Rooney Mara for Carol, Kate Winslet for Steve Jobs, as well as Jennifer Jason Leigh for The Hateful Eight, Alicia Vikander for The Danish Girl, And yes, I still have Rachel McAdams for Spotlight. Now, she is the X factor here. I think she's the one that either A, she's going to go along with the cast, or B, she's going to be the one that gets left on the wayside. And that happens nearly every year. There's always this ensemble movie that does really well with nominations, and there's one person that's left out. Look at you, Marky Mark. And when it comes down to it, she may be the one that's left out. I don't know. I have faith in Spotlight enough to run her in this position, but I'm not completely confident in it.
Wahlberg's an odd choice, because I'm sure you're talking about The Fighter.
Right.
But then he was on the opposite end of that for The Departed. So.
Right, exactly.
It's a confusing example.
Of course I'm talking about The Fighter, isn't it? I'm talking about here. But, yeah, that's just... I think it's a solid lineup, I really do. I think, again, we're in a situation that I think 3 or 4 of those are locks, and everything else is just questionable. I say Mara is definitely in for sure, and Vikander seems more and more likely by the day, and I think Lee is definitely getting in, but everything else I'm not sure about. But that's how it is when it comes to predictions. Even though we're getting closer and closer to the actual predictions in a couple of months, it's still...
I mean, nomination.
Yeah. Our predictions for the nominations. Like the real ones next month when we actually do all the categories. When we go all for broke. Well... I was joking, obviously, being very sarcastic when I said this was AJ's favorite category. His legit favorite category is coming up next, and this is quite a race this year. Best Supporting Actor.
I didn't change from last time. Robert De Niro for Joy, Idris Elba for Beasts of No Nation, Tom Hardy for The Revenant, Mark Ruffalo for Spotlight, and Mark Rylance for Bridge of Spies. There's the whole Keaton debate about which Spotlight guy is going to get in. Apparently that's not the debate anymore, and it's driving me crazy because there is a discussion that I keep seeing a lot, and that is a lot of people are getting real comfortable with the idea that Spotlight is going to win the whole thing.
Everything. Okay.
So the question that's getting thrown out is who's going to win, Ruffalo or Keaton? And I just have to think, hold the fucking phone. Before you even think that, they both have to get in.
Yeah, exactly. You can't talk wins unless you know who's actually nominated.
And people are getting really, really confident that it's going to be both of them. And I'm just not... I know, and a lot of people that have seen the movie say they prefer Keaton over Ruffalo, but I feel like Ruffalo's got a lot more backing him as far as the industry goes. Not to mention, I hear Keaton's performance is more internalized, and Ruffalo gets to do the whole...
He gets to do the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know. I was starting to wonder about De Niro, because I've kind of just had De Niro in here by default the whole time.
I've noticed that.
Despite my lack of confidence for Joy. But, it's... Yeah. Despite how I feel about Joy at the current time, for some reason, I feel comfortable with De Niro in here, so that's pretty much it. A lot of people are kind of like, there are 2 kinds of people in the world. Those who think Mark Rylance will get in and be a contender for the win, and those who think Mark Rylance has no chance at even a nomination. There's really, you have to go one extreme or the other.
That's crazy.
Well, I'm not quite sure he'd be a contender for the win. That's kind of hard to say at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
Looking at this group, but
this is a very strong lineup.
I feel in Bridge of Spies in general, I feel pretty confident in.
Yeah.
Just the movie itself here. Well, in most categories. So yeah, I feel fine with this. I mean, I don't feel like this is going to be concrete. Like, I'm not going to tell you, this, I feel pretty good about this. Go to
Vegas, put some money on it.
This is definitely a lineup that could probably change, even by the next video.
Certainly.
But right now, it's what I feel the best about. So,
my Best Supporting Actor lineup, obviously, is spurred on the fact that it was officially announced that Samuel L. Jackson is going leading for The Hateful Eight. Which means I had an empty spot. Now... Upon hearing the Independent Spirit Awards nominations, I was feeling pretty comfortable with putting somebody I really wanted to see in this lineup. But that's when I saw Creed. And a lot of people are talking this up, and I think it's a nomination. That's it. It's a nomination. I'm going with Sylvester Stallone for Creed to join Mark Rylance for The Bridge of Spies, Michael Keaton and Mark Ruffalo for Spotlight, and Tom Hardy for The Revenant. Paul Dano has a really good chance of getting in my lineup if he can get a little bit more going to him right now. People are starting to go for it, so it's not out of the realm of possibility. It could happen.
I can imagine him getting nothing more than this. This is not what I'm getting at. I'm just saying.
I know what you're talking about.
I could see him getting a totally random SAG nomination.
I could see that. I could easily see that, actually.
But I don't think he would go farther than that.
I don't know. Love and Mercy seems like a Golden Globes movie, too. Somewhat.
I think it's running in drama, though.
Ooh.
So.
Nah, it's screwed. Yeah, I'm going with the Spotlight 2 for here. I think that it's probably going to happen. I don't know. I have the feeling that they have that much confidence in the movie. And I don't really have anything to judge this by because we haven't got a chance to see Spotlight yet. Hopefully soon. It'll happen before the end of the year as of this point.
I'm actually quite annoyed that we haven't seen it.
Yeah, same here, man. Trust me. And Tom Hardy and The Revenant, I mean, I really think that it's going to be fun. Batman and Bane fighting for the Oscar. So, different Batman, but still, it's going to be awesome. And Stallone, I mean, I think that it's a possibility. I really do. I think there's enough strong feelings for Creed overall. I think it may lead to a nomination. Now, I know a lot of people, like you told me, were thinking Stallone's going to get in, Stallone's going to win. No.
Yeah, there are people that think that Stallone can go all the way to a win. As you can see, I'm not even going for the nomination. I think with Stallone's one of those things where we're early enough, and I mean, I know it's December in a few days, but still, even then, we're a bit early in the season. That there's still moments for these types where I don't have a specific example off the top of my head, but I'm sure there are plenty out there where there is that one performance that feels at one point in the race like it could go all the way and do big things and get, be like an actor's big, thing after all these years and stuff like that. But there are also many times where that happens, and then it's that thing where next award season we're kind of having a laugh about it.
I can't believe
you
we
remember
thought that.
You remember that time we kind of thought Stallone was going to win for Creed? That seems kind of silly in retrospect.
Remember that time Owen predicted David Cronenberg would run for director?
I'm thinking. So I mean, I'd be pleased if he got recognition. It's just a lot of people. Well, a lot of people are also kind of saying because he was nominated twice for the original, which won Best Picture.
Right.
But despite it winning Best Picture, he did not win for Best Actor or writing it.
Mm-hmm.
He single-handedly, Sylvester Stallone single-handedly wrote a movie that won Best Picture. Sometimes you have to wrap your head around that.
Yeah, that's true.
But he didn't win either one he was up for, and people were thinking this might be the, makeup for that. I think that's kind of a weird reasoning considering it's not necessarily one of the more beloved Best Picture winners. A lot of people are still bitching that it beat Taxi Driver, even though Scorsese wasn't up for director that year. But
it's crazy.
Yeah, I sometimes even forget that because it's so fucked up. But that's just...
It could still happen. We don't know.
It's I'm not saying it's I think it's impossible, and I think people are stupid for saying it. It's as of right now, it does seem plausible. I just don't think it's going to stay that way.
I think it could even change by December. You never know. There's a lot coming out between now and then. A lot of real contenders are coming out between now and then.
Because I know people are going to love Creed and everything.
Yeah. I can vouch for this.
And it's definitely, the kind of thing, but there's so much going on in this category. There are so many people battling for spots in this category.
I mean, next month will solidify both The Revenant and Spotlight to where they really stand. NBR comes out in a couple days, so I think it's December 1st. December 1st or 2nd.
First, and then second for New York.
Yeah, so I mean, you got some major critics awards coming out right away, so we're going to find out what people really think. So...
National Award Review never really has an impact on anything, but it's always fun to see what they go with.
Mm-hmm. Seems like a movie. It seems like a Steve Jobs type award.
A lot of people think New York and LA will be when Carol starts to come forward.
It's possible. It might be where Youth starts too.
Well, let's also keep in mind, it seems like more and more every year we're getting to a point to where, at least in one category, there's somebody that sweeps the Critics Awards, and then once the televised awards start happening, they start getting taken out.
Right.
Like Chiwetel and the supporting actor race of 2012. So...
We're moving on to Best Actress now?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I do go first. Okay.
Yes, always.
I have Cate Blanchett for Carol, Brie Larson for Rune, Jennifer Lawrence for Joy, Charlotte Rampling for 45 Years, and Saoirse Ronan for Brooklyn. Obviously, I didn't know what to do here because I was very, very confident in my lineup the last time when Vikander was in here.
Right.
To the point that I said I wasn't going to change. I really didn't think it was going to change.
Watch the video, it's in there.
And then fucking Vikander had to do that. So I had to scramble to come up with a 5th Best Actress slot, and that's when I realized how fucking bare bones this category is when you get past the frontrunners. So I just went with Charlotte Rampling. Like I said, she hasn't been nominated yet, and she's got some really good performances under her belt. And it could quite possibly be something that... Obviously, it would be one of those cases where it's a performance that speaks to the Academy, even if the movie maybe doesn't completely. So, just... Of my options, I thought she was the best... Well, option.
So maybe like a Jackie Weaver, maybe?
More... I don't have a nice specific example for this. For some reason, I wanted to say Reva, because for some reason, every time the Academy goes out of the box, it's like, oh, more. You can just... But that doesn't really make sense, though. So I don't know what I would compare this to, but... We'll just... I don't know. Another example that's kind of jumping out at me is when Peter Fonda was nominated for Uli's Gold. So when it's just that person that was never nominated before, and then it's just like... Because you have Maggie Smith, but she has a shitload of nominations and 2 wins under her belt.
Right.
And she's in a movie that doesn't really seem that out in the open.
And all that Meryl Streep love, just because she's Meryl Streep, that seems to be completely faded away now.
Yeah, that was...
I know.
She didn't even really have a shot this year with anything.
No.
Because Ricky and the Flash was never going to do anything.
It could be a Globe. Could have been a Globe movie.
And apparently she's in Suffragette for like 3 minutes.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't really have any passion behind that choice. It's just like, well, Vikander's not here now, so...
Same thing I did with Sam Jackson.
Here. So, yeah, I'll just go with that.
Fair enough. My actress lineup hasn't changed either. I'm still being bullheaded about Lily Tomlin for Grandma. I don't know. You never know. SAG could get her in. It's possible. It could get her and Dano both into the race, but you never know. Carey Mulligan for Suffragette, and of course Jennifer Lawrence for Joy, Cate Blanchett for Carol, and Brie Larson for Room. So I think those 3 are guaranteed. The 3 at the bottom I think are guaranteed. I don't think they're going anywhere. Everybody else, like...
Wait, which 3 were those?
Lawrence, Blanchett, and Larson. Okay. Yeah, those 3 are locked, I'm pretty positive at this point. But everything else is up for grabs.
Unless Mara wants to come in here.
Yeah. You never know.
There are FYC posters for Carol that I saw, but I think they were just like for like cinematography or something, so I don't know what those actually say, but I assume they're going to run her in supporting, I'm pretty sure.
That's what we've got first.
It's just a matter of they could take matters into their own hands if they want to, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's the same argument with Vikander.
Exactly. This lineup's pretty solid. Everybody that's in this nomination lineup is pretty awesome, to be honest, when it comes to acting. Best actor.
Michael Caine for Youth, DiCaprio for The Revenant, Michael Fassbender for Steve Jobs, Eddie Redmayne for The Danish Girl, and Will Smith for Concussion. I didn't change from last time. There are a lot of people pushing their way into this category to the point that Smith seems quite expendable. And the thing about it, though, is number one, he is campaigning everywhere.
He's super likable, too. That's another thing that's right on his favor.
But the thing was, people like this piss me off. The conversation went, the screenings and stuff for Concussion had just gone down.
Mm-hmm.
Like a few days prior, but I didn't really see what the reactions were because I wasn't really paying attention. Because I don't think the movie itself is going to do anything.
No.
And so this guy was just saying, like, well, with somebody else out of the race and with Will Smith out of the race, who's left? And I was like, well, hold the phone. What happened to Smith? Did he die? And the response was, movie didn't get good reviews.
So?
And
Doesn't mean anything.
Hello. I want you to go to Rotten Tomatoes right now and look up. I know this is a bit of a different thing, but probably wouldn't be today, but I'm just going back. If you want to talk this, I want you to go to Rotten Tomatoes and I want you to look up I Am Sam's percentage.
Okay.
And just read some reviews for I Am Sam. And remember that Sean Penn got a Best Actor nomination that year.
Yeah.
Your movie, there are other examples like that too, but I Am Sam is a fucking despised movie.
Mm.
Your movie can totally suck. And you can still get in.
Oh yeah, totally.
There's just that has no bearing on anything. And if you want, and that's the thing, is that's not even the reaction Concussion's getting. People are just like, if your movie can fucking suck and you can still get in, Will Smith going on the campaign trail for a movie that at the very least, is getting a reaction.
Yeah.
That in no way puts him out of the race. Not even fucking close.
It doesn't.
Not even close at all.
That makes me nervous about not running him.
And yeah, like every time maybe this is just nothing, I don't know, but every time I mention Steve Jobs now, apart from outside of Adapted Screenplay, every time I mention Steve Jobs, I'm not as confident as I was before.
I'm nervous about Steve Jobs, to be honest, right now.
Because there's a lot of, I was wrong in the previous video about Depp. Apparently, Depp is totally campaigning. Depp is taking Black Mass around and having fucking screenings.
Nice.
So, that would be awesome.
Yes, it would.
I really want that nomination badly to happen. I really, really do. It's just, I don't know. Like I said, I've always been confident in Kane, and that only solidified when he's like hardcore on the campaign trail. And Michael Caine is up there on the... There's a whole lot of fucking charming going around with Will Smith and Michael Caine on the campaign trail.
Yeah, right on.
It's been in the same category. I said, The Revenant's starting to screen now, and people are really building up this might finally be what everybody's been waiting for. I don't know. I don't jump on this kind of stuff this early, but I'm just saying that's the thing. And it's not like, internet fan people or anything. These are like, people are actually coming out of the screening saying, this race is over. And because this race never really had a front runner.
No.
Like Fassbender was for a while there, but then I don't know what's going on with it. A lot of people are blaming this. I don't know. I think I get it, kind of. But the thing that really I can't quite grasp is obviously one thing that can come into play when you're talking about Steve Jobs kind of falling off was its bad box office. And that's something that a lot of people talk about. They say people really try to use box office as a point when they're talking about their predictions.
But that doesn't matter.
I don't know. Well, for starters, if you want an example, go look at the Hurt Locker's box office.
Yeah, no lie.
But apart from that, there's a lot of, like with the whole argument with The Martian. Like a lot of people that are building up The Martian to be a huge contender, the first thing in their argument is it's such a monster hit. I'm failing to see one thing, the only argument I've ever heard that box office would make a difference is that There's still screeners.
Yeah,
so I don't know how this works, but I heard the argument once that the reason a movie being a huge box office hit, being a big deal, is the fact that probably most everybody in the Academy has seen it.
Right.
But like I said, once, screeners start happening, I don't see how that makes a difference, because regardless, they're more likely to watch a screener not having to go anywhere than going and adding to its box office.
Right.
That's
the reason screeners exist. So you don't have to get up and give it.
I've been hearing that for years, and I do not get what people are on with that.
Right.
It's very much like this is part of my desperate argument. So when I say that Steve Jobs, I'm afraid, is waning, that has nothing to do with its box office performance.
No.
I'm just... because it was really strong there while it was out, but as soon as it was out of theaters...
people somewhat forgot about it.
It just kind of seems to... You don't really hear about it now. So, yeah, Yeah. Was I even going to talk about anything else? I think... People are trying to build up that Redmayne is not as likely as Vikander. Well, number one, it's really funny. Everything last year. Okay. To his credit, Redmayne is not doing the campaigning as hardcore as he was. But that's not to say that the studio is following that.
Right.
Because I'm finding these FYC posters now. And it was like, here's 2 for Steve Jobs, and here's a really nice one for Black Mass, here's a couple for the Hateful Eight. And then I go to the Danish Girl. And it's like a list this long. And there's like 8 posters that are just Redmayne in a different pose every time. So, I'm not saying that's Redmayne doing that personally, but everything is still out there. The Danish Girl is still being seen by Academy members.
It just came out this week, actually.
They're still very much driving that he should be nominated. Vikander is not really overshadowing him, like people are saying. So, I'm sorry, I got really worked up about Best Actor in general. So, what are yours?
I'll tell you right now, I have a feeling that we're both on the same page when we say that if Redmayne missed, it'd be really hilarious. Considering the fact that all the credit you had to eat last year.
I don't know why I did that, okay?
I don't know. I didn't want to either.
It felt right at the time.
It did.
For some reason.
And as smug as he was last year, it would be wonderful if he would just totally miss this year. That'd be awesome. Because then we can slide in someone in that 5th spot that we want in there instead of Redmayne. But as of this...
I don't think smug is the right word. But
No, the way he went about things was smug. He was fine when he was winning. That was alright, because he was...
I think it was just
very understated.
Just his tactics kind of rubbed people the wrong way.
Yeah, going to Gold Derby, knock on the door. Would you vote for me? That just doesn't work that way.
This seems more like it's the studio is doing it more than he is.
This year, I agree with that, but last year it totally wasn't the case. He's like the guy who goes on American Idol and tries to get your vote solicited. But I've got him...
We still got a month. He might go insane.
Yeah, exactly. Could happen.
For all we know, in the next week or 2.
I've got Redmayne in my lineup right now. I have Leonardo DiCaprio for The Revenant. I have Michael Fassbender for Steve Jobs. I still have Johnny Depp for Black Mass. And welcome Matt Damon to the lineup for The Martian. I don't know. Something about this role just tells me that this could be a nomination.
And people are... And I'm not even throwing this shrug at you. I'm throwing at the fact that a lot of people seem to think that Damon is locked right now. Which is a bit...
I'm not sure. This lineup is really out there because any of these people could be locks or could be expendable because there's that big of a lineup this year.
I don't even need to go into this because I went already over the whole...
Yeah.
The whole... Everybody being on The Martian being a massive contender right now is kind of... I feel like it's something that's going to fade at least a little bit in the next month.
I would say so. I mean, I'm happy that Johnny Depp is campaigning now. We know that he is, which is great because I'd love to see Johnny Depp get in here. I've been wanting to see him get in here since the first time I made predictions back in August. But, I mean, Fassbender was a contender for the win, supposedly. For all the people that think they know what they're talking about. And now DiCaprio's in there. And then there's the rule about the Academy don't want to just hold it out. And then, nope, just take it right away. So, I mean, anything's possible at this point. I think, regardless how you look at it, we're going to have a really solid Best Actor lineup this year. Because there's so many contenders that have tremendous performances that we've already seen, and via just trailers that I've seen some little snippets of things, it actually has worked really well for that other contingent.
Okay. If you're wondering why I take this so seriously, I really don't know why this is so aggravating to me. I really don't. Because it really means nothing. But
there's no money on the line.
It's just...
I'm aware of.
I get the idea that people are building up The Martian and all that stuff.
Right.
About it being a big contender and everything. But I swear to God, somebody the other day said, okay, so in Best Actor we have DiCaprio, Fassbender, and Damon. It's a matter of who the other two are. And I was just like, where the fuck did that come from?
Damon's not a lock.
But so many people were agreeing with it.
He's not a lock.
And I don't...
I don't even think Matt Damon's a lock. And I'm the one championing The Martian right now. I don't know.
Well, there was somebody's argument was he's gonna win. There's a whole thing about the fact that after a very long voting process, The Martian is going to be in comedy at the Globes, which pretty much solidifies Matt Damon. Remember the last time we thought Matt Damon was solidified in the Comedy Globe category? Mm-hmm. He lost to fucking Downey for Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
But people are absolutely certain that Damon will win the Comedy Globe, and at this point, yeah, probably. And the dude's argument was everybody... I mean, I know I defended the Globes last year by saying...
You really did. More so than normal.
That's where McConaughey and Waltz took off after they didn't look like winners at that year until that happened. Because typically the Globes don't mean anything, but it looks like they're trying to take themselves more seriously this year.
Agreed.
Like actually running movies that are about musicians in drama instead of musical, just because of that.
Yeah.
But his argument was like in the past, however many, a bunch of years, every guy that's won the Comedy Globe has gone on to be nominated, except when Paul Giamatti won for Barney's version. Mm-hmm. Well, when you have an exception that wasn't that long ago, I'm kind of having trouble jumping on your theory there.
Yeah, your argument is pretty much invalid.
It's like, every guy that's ever won the Comedy Globe has gone to be nominated, except Paul Giamatti a few years ago, but let's just ignore that. How do we know Damon's not another Paul Giamatti?
It's true. I mean,
how do we know Damon's gonna win the Comedy Globe? He could lose to fucking a weird performance like Downey and Holmes again. I don't know. Well, none of the major players were in that year, obviously, but at the same time, I don't personally... I know people are just saying, like, of course he is. I'm totally not seeing Damon as a major player in this category. I don't get it.
I'm comfortable enough to say that he's a nomination, but I'm not comfortable enough to say that he's a lock. I don't think... I mean, everybody's pretty much has been telling since day one it's Fassbender and DiCaprio, and everybody else is just window dressing. But we don't even know if that's true or not.
We'll just see what the Martian status looks like in a month.
Right.
And if it's... Like I said, I really, really love the movie. So
yeah, same here.
If it's still here at the end of December, that's awesome.
But...
Right now, I'm really not thinking that's the case.
But it's also good because you don't predict the things you really want to win, because if you do, you jinx them, and you know that. That's another thing that... It's the reason why you don't see the Hateful Eight very much in his lineup.
It's a win-win situation.
Exactly.
Either I get what I want in, or my predictions are right. It's a win-win situation.
That's right. You win either way. Speaking of that, Best Director.
Alright. I have nothing different from last time. I have Danny Boyle for Steve Jobs, Todd Haynes for Carol, Andrew Gonzalez and Inarritu for The Revenant, Tom McCarthy for Spotlight, and Steven Spielberg for Bridge of Spies. I'm still caught up in last year. It is so hard to say Inarritu's name without saying Birdman after it.
Agreed.
As you can probably guess, a lot of reluctance went into putting Boyle back in here. I really am not sure, but the only reason Boyle is still in here is because I had trouble coming up with who was going to replace him. Because sadly, I'm not feeling Tarantino. I'm still wondering if, people have pretty much abandoned Beast of No Nation, but it's still kind of in the back of my head. I consider putting Fukunaga back in here. And then there is, should I ever get on the Martian train, there's Ridley Scott as an option. But I don't know. So that's why Boyle's still here.
Alright. Well, I ended up reluctantly doing something I don't want to do, but justifying what I wanted to do with my lineup. In this case, I had to do it. I had to bump Spielberg out. I don't really have much confidence in that either. It's not, I mean, he doesn't seem like he's a lock, but he seems like he definitely could get in. And he has reasons to get in.
I don't have him in here with the utmost confidence or anything, but I feel okay about Bridge of Spies.
Right now, I think solid, we have Alejandro Gonzalez Iñárritu for The Revenant and Tom McCarthy for Spotlight. That's solid. Everything else is fair game. As of this moment, I still have Danny Boyle because I'm not letting go of Steve Jobs because I still think it could happen. And they love Boyle anyway, so I mean, I think that it's a good possibility. And I'm sticking with Tarantino. And I'm not going to relinquish that. I think that The Hateful Eight is going to be more of a contender than people think it is. But we'll see. The big one I have right now is who I replace Spielberg with, and I did go with Ridley Scott. This is a gamble. This is a big gamble. They will really have to love The Martian so much they're wanting to just throw everything at it. And getting Ridley Scott a nomination is not out of the realm of possibility, but it seems somewhat unlikely. But you never know. We don't know what the real race is. We just know what Joe Pencilpusher at blog.com thinks about this race. We don't know any precursors yet. So anything we say right now, we could be totally off on all of this. All of us could be off on this.
The people, I think I've mentioned this before probably.
You have, I'm sure.
The people that have websites and blogs and shit, the ones that get paid to do this, they have insiders, and they talk to celebrities like that fucking guy in Eddie Redmayne, for instance.
Yes.
But at the same time, you talk to one guy and you say well, I've heard around that, Redmayne's gonna win or whatever. And then it's oh really? You heard around from 6,000 fucking people who are voters? This
is Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back at everyone's door, knock on the doors, who are you gonna vote for Best Picture? That doesn't work that way.
Is there just one big room, 6,000 voters get in, and they play fucking telephone?
Gotta buy a lot of plane tickets.
I was gonna say something about Todd Haynes.
Yeah, I don't know.
The thing with me is, to compare him, I feel about Todd Haynes the way I felt about Alexander Payne in 2013.
Okay, that's fair.
Not just because there are 4 letters in a row in their names that match. When Alexander Payne was up for Nebraska, I never took him out of my predictions.
Right.
And he was always the one that was just in there where I never even really talked about it. I was just, he's in there.
He's there. I'm not going to mention it.
And it's just always going to be there.
Yeah.
And it seemed, there were people predicting him, obviously, but there were a lot of people that weren't. I don't know if they thought Nebraska was going to be too small or it wasn't, showy enough for him. He shot the fucking thing in black and white. It's going to be showy enough. But the whole time I was just yeah, Payne's in there. Why would anybody not think that? That's kind of what I'm feeling about Haynes. It's just yeah, of course he's in there, I would think. And it's fine. And then should his name be announced on nominations morning, I'm going to be 0% surprised. It's just yeah, of course he was always there. So that's kind of how I feel about that. I'm going to be disappointed if he's not. Because that same year, I was as confident in Paul Greengrass.
Yeah.
That's still fucked up to me, though.
I understand.
But, whatever.
I never had him in, so...
I'm still just kind of pissed that David O. Russell got nominated for ripping off Scorsese in a category fucking Scorsese was nominated in with him. Making an infinitely better movie, too. I mean, I like American Hustle, but Jesus, it's no Wolf of Wall Street.
Obviously, I love American Hustle, but I still agree, it's no Wolf of Wall Street. Best Picture, and if you're not following along with us normally, we do 9. So let's see what AJ's group of 9 is this time around.
Pretty much just because I really don't know what to do with this. It's not different from last time, or the time before, I believe.
Yeah.
It's Beast of No Nation, Bridge of Spies, Carol, The Danish Girl, The Hateful Eight, The Revenant, Spotlight, Star Wars, and Steve Jobs. I'm still sticking with Beast of No Nation gets in on one other nomination, that being Elba.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not as confident in Star Wars. Like, I know it's not even out yet, and like only 3 people in the world have seen it.
Mm-hmm.
So it could once it comes out, it could become this huge thing, and then it just flows right in and does all that.
Screenplay and picture get it in, a bunch of text.
Just a bunch of text.
You don't think they go for screenplay?
No.
I would have said that. No, I mean when it actually takes off.
And the best they can do is get a bunch of text and then a picture nomination.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm not like I always kind of felt like, yeah, I think it's going to be the big movie that gets in. And the thing, I feel comfortable in this lineup because it's so, like, eclectic.
Yeah, it really is.
When you look at it. Because you've got, the really good-looking art stuff like The Danish Girl and Carol, and then you've got the really visceral stuff like The Hateful Eight and The Revenant. You've got the frontrunner with the important status with Spotlight. You've got the movie with the small release with Beast of No Nation. And then just the would be a contender in pretty much any year movies like Bridge of Spies and Steve Jobs. And then you've just got one big movie in there like Star Wars.
That's a solid lineup. Using that way of thinking, it really is.
Like, I've grown so attached to it, I'm going to be disappointed if it's like nothing like this. But yes, in the event that things are the same a month from now, where I have Star Wars could be the Martian spot. So yeah, it's not like I've never really been like absolutely 100% saying that Star Wars is in, but it's just what I'm going with. I don't know. Okay? Fuck off.
You Eddie Izzarding everybody?
Sure.
Right on. My best picture lineup hasn't changed either. Right now, I have Steve Jobs, Bridge of Spies, The Revenant, Spotlight, Room, The Martian, Joy, Inside Out, and The Hateful Eight. As of this very moment, I think the most expendable movie on that list right now is Room. I really think that it's probably the one that if I had to choose one right now that wasn't going to get in, like just right now, gun to my head, told me I have to tell you or you're going to shoot me, I think it's Room. I really do. I don't think it's strong enough to get in. But I have it on here because...
That's a screenplay and actress is enough to get it in. So
yeah.
I don't have it in screenplay. So.
Yeah, I do, reluctantly. Joy is a question mark as well. I know a lot of people are talking about it. We're talking about it for the win at this point. I'm not confident in it at all. I think right now, The Hateful Eight getting in there, I can't say it's a certainty, but I'm more comfortable with it. I really think that this may be the year they actually finally start throwing some cred towards the movies. Inside Out, I really at this point think that it's definitely getting in. Now, depending on how many... Now, if there was 5, I don't think it gets in. If there were 6 or 7, maybe not. But if we have like an 8, a 9, a 10 lineup, I think Inside Out's getting in. The Martian, I really think it's going to happen. I really do. Spotlight's a lock at this point. The Revenant's a lock at this point. I think Bridge of Spies is a lock at this point. And I'm even going to say Steve Jobs is probably a lock at this point. It's not a solid lock, but it's a lock.
I've heard, actually to the point that it's almost getting plausible. A lot of people seem to have no problem saying this, but I'm very, very, very cautious. The idea of entering to going 2 in a row. Now the thing about it is, when was it? I feel like there's another example. Mankiewicz won director 2 years in a row. He didn't win picture 2 years, but he won director with A Letter to Three Wives, followed by All About Eve.
Okay.
I was thinking that, for some reason I was thinking that Wilder might have done it, but maybe not.
Sounds plausible.
But, or Wyler. Wyler has like, 1,000 1,000 nominations and like 20 wins to his name, but that's an exaggeration, but it's close enough. And the fact that the whole we just recently had a movie win Best Picture without being nominated for director, and not only that, but there was a while there where people thought a picture director split was never going to happen again, and we got it 2 years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, with all these precedents just going down in flames, just Inarritu going 2 in a row does not seem like impossible.
It doesn't.
It's not something I'd predict myself as of now.
No.
But it's not implausible. So, even if winning picture 2 years in a row, I'm not sure, but the whole him winning director 2 years in a row doesn't seem like even you get what I'm saying.
I see what you're talking about.
It's like weird shit like that can happen now.
Oh yeah. Anything's possible right now. We won't know anything and we start getting precursors. We actually start getting real awards, whether they're televised or not. Then we'll actually have an idea where they're actually leaning towards. At least for a little bit, so. That's going to be the end. So, that being said, I want to thank you guys and girls out there for watching. Tomorrow, join us for Versus. Your cryptic comment is actually going to be Stranded, so it's pretty obvious if you really think about it. That's going to be coming up tomorrow. Game On with Ash returns on Monday. WWE Raw podcast Monday night, 11:30 p.m. That replay will be up on Tuesday. Wednesday is a question mark right now. Thursday, brand new Sip and Snack, and Friday will be Krampus for AJ's movie reviews.
You said the Versus is going to be Stranded.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing. You're probably not thinking of the right movie, but you have the right actor.
I almost called it that, actually, just to really throw people off. So that's what we've got for this week. Halloween Horror Nights podcast coming up very soon. Stay tuned to my Twitter at SirOwenDisney to find out more information on that. And in the meantime, leave a comment at the bottom and let us know what you think is actually going to run for the big 8 categories of the Academy Awards this year. And until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all we got to say about that.
So, continuing on from last month. This notes here, I have seen quite a lot of, well, not quite a lot, quite a few of the award contenders now. Brooklyn, I've seen. Lady in the Van. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Steve Jobs. Managed to catch that. Still to come within the next few weeks. I know just released over here has been Carol and Bridge of Spies and Last Dinosaur, which could be in a chance for Best Animated. Whatever it's called. Was it called? The Good Dinosaur. That's how memorable that film is, apparently, because I don't even know the title and it's already out. Black Mass has already opened out to everybody, but trying to think if there's any other ones. I don't think so off the top of my head. Either way, those have opened today, so that's something for me to enjoy over the next month before we get to Star Wars Mass. Because who cares about Christmas? It's probably going to be Star Wars Mass. So, the 8 categories. For Adapted Screenplay, I have Lady in the Van, Danish Girl, Carol, Steve Jobs, and Brooklyn. There's going to be a lot of switching about here and there. I have heard a lot about the plot, or the script for Carol, and how it's really top-notch. So, at the minute, that's in there, with Revenant dropping out, but this is going to fluctuate at least until we get the Golden Globe nominations, and then we've got more of a sign of what's going on. For original screenplay, I think that is staying the same for this month. Hateful Eight, Bridge of Spies, Ex Machina, Suffragette, and Sicario, because I am that. I want Ex Machina to be recognised in some shape or form, and that's a good sci-fi story. Although it would be interesting if somehow Mad Max Fury Road got... Hang on, Mad Max Fury Road is adapted screenplay. What was Mad Max Fury Road based off other than other Mad Max films? I guess that's what it counts about as original screenplay. Either way, for supporting actress, Meryl Streep in Suffragette, because it's Meryl Streep. But it's getting that close to like she doesn't stand a chance. Rooney Mara for Carol. Kate Winslet for Steve Jobs. Julie Walters for Brooklyn. And yeah, I'll stick with Ellen Page for Freeheld for the minute, but there's a few others that I still need to see and take into consideration that might have a chance there. For Best Supporting Actor, I'm losing Oscar Isaac here, I think, from what I remember from last month. But I am going to have pretty much the same with Jeff Daniels for Steve Jobs, Mark Rylance for Bridge of Spies, because we need to remember him for that and not The Gunman. Yeah, that film. Tom Hardy for The Revenant, Samuel L. Jackson for Hateful Eight, and Benicio del Toro for Sicario. That still stays with me, that performance, and the fact that we could see more of it, I do not object. For Best Actress, Cate Blanchett for Carol, Carey Mulligan for Suffragette, Alicia Vikander for Danish Girl, Maggie Smith for Lady in the Van, and Jennifer Lawrence for Joy. New quote here, hashtag because it's Jennifer Lawrence. Because it seems to be like, ever since Winter's Bone, it's like, yeah, she's got to be in the Oscar ceremony somehow. Either she's presenting her award, or she's winning it. Or she's nominated. She's got to be there in some shape or form. That's the trend. So, Best Actor, I'm sticking with DiCaprio for Revenant, because I think everybody wants it. Michael Fassbender for Steve Jobs, Johnny Depp for Black Mass, which I'm a bit mixed on, Eddie Redmayne for Danish Girl, and Bryan Cranston for Trumbo. I've heard a lot of good things about his performance, and because, you know, it's Walter White, and you don't mess with Heisenberg. The 45 year stuff has dropped out. I will be seeing that. Hopefully this week. I know it is on. It's on at another cinema next month, but that's in or around other stuff. So I'm trying to catch it this week if I can fit it in. I think 45 years is more likely now to be in contention for just British awards. It'd be nice if there was some foreign acclaim, but I don't think there will be, sadly. For Best Director, I'm going to go with Alejandro González Iñárritu for Revenant, Danny Boyle for Steve Jobs, Steven Spielberg for Bridge of Spies, Tom Hooper for The Danish Girl, and Quentin Tarantino for Hateful Eight. That isn't in really any sort of order, but Todd Haynes for Carol could be in with a chance of knocking something out there. So we'll have to see. And my 9 on the Best Picture, because I can't be bothered to make 10, because at the minute it's really getting close. Steve Jobs, Revenant, Danish Girl, Bridge of Spies, Carol, Inside Out, Black Mass, Spotlight, and I'll actually go with Brooklyn, and I've just realised that with Brooklyn I really need to have Saoirse Ronan in contention as well. I don't know if she's on the level, because that's a strong list already. Ironically, of all very strong female characters, so it's really a case of, you know, nobody slacking there. But yeah, I think that's the 9 that I'm sticking with. Most notable there, I guess, is Spotlight. I have heard nothing but praise for that as well. And it's something that's a bit edgy. I know that one of the award circles gave the award to Will Smith for Concussion, so that's on my radar, but the fact that, I mean, looking at some of the movies, posters in my local theatre, Creed doesn't open here until like January the 15th. I don't think that's in any awards contention anyway, but it's a shame to see it differ so much from the US release. I mean, it's more so for Goosebumps, which I've already ranted about in some shape or form somewhere, about the fact that we're getting it in February when it's a Halloween thing and America got it Halloween. But either way, so yeah, I guess this is the month where we find out whether Star Wars is going to be up for contention for anything other than special effects. Although I think, looking at it, there may be a need to rant. I never checked whether that was in contention. Probably not. I never looked at the list properly. For best animated, best animated short. Lava from Inside Out didn't make it in. Sanjay's Super Team did from Good Dinosaur. So the great short film that was with a great movie gets forgotten about for the great short film with an average movie. The thing is, I can't remember what Paperman was with. I think it was Wreck-It Ralph, and you know, those were two good movies on the same level as each other. Don't know why we can't have that. Either way, I can rant about more about that when we actually get into more details about that as it comes up. Obviously we're starting to get the Academy shortlist coming through. The foreign language stuff got put out last few weeks, and there's at least a couple there. Sight and Sound magazine over here in the UK did their list of like 170 something critics and wanted their list of their top films of the year. The top three were: in third place, Mad Max Fury Road, which I'm really surprised and pleased to see. Second was Carol, which is why that's probably going to be more on my radar once I've seen it in the next few weeks. And most notably, leading the way was Taiwan/China's entry. I think it's actually Taiwan's. The Assassin, which I haven't seen, haven't heard about, but apparently it's got an 80% on Rotten Tomatoes, but apparently it's the #1 film of the year, which shows you that not every film is perfect. So you never know, there might be luck. That Brad and Angelina film that apparently everybody hates might win Best Picture. Either way, back to somebody.